continuing upon my previous video, I was going over a bunch of different events in history, observing them through the eyes of astrology, and I think we stopped at like the French Revolution. So, this occurred specifically July 14th in 1789. A storming of the Bastille, approximate noon. Sun is at 22 degrees Cancer, moon's at 13 degrees Aries. We also see Uranus, 4 degrees Leo, conjunct the 1453 point of return resonance. We have Neptune at 5 degrees Scorpio, squaring the Uranus-Pluto at 1453. Pluto at 14 degrees Aquarius, opposing the 1776 Uranus. We also see Jupiter-Saturn conjunction upcoming in 1790 at 0 degrees Pisces, the great conjunction in the sign of dissolution. Rahu at 18 degrees Scorpio, therefore Ketu is at 18 degrees Taurus. Okay. We interpret that the Sun conjunct the USA's natal Sun, which is, again, 13 degrees Cancer, in the Bastille chart, shows the contagious nature of the revolutionary archetype. Neptune and Scorpio square Uranus and Leo, unleash the collective shadow, and the ideal of liberty becoming terror. Ketu and Taurus demanded the sacrifice of the agricultural base in the ancient regime's material wealth. So now we'll talk about the Industrial Revolution's consolidation, Congress of Vienna, and Saturn-Pluto. So November 20th of 1850, Treaty of Paris, the second treaty. Approximate, we see Sun at 27 degrees Scorpio, Saturn at 21 degrees Capricorn, Pluto at 28 degrees Pisces retrograde, Uranus at 18 degrees Sag, close to the galactic center, Neptune at 6 degrees Sag, Jupiter at 25 degrees Libra, with Mars at 5 degrees Virgo, and Rahu at 24 degrees Taurus, Ketu at 24 degrees Scorpio. So, first off, our key configuration is Saturn in Capricorn, exactly trine Ketu in Scorpio, and sextile Rahu in Taurus. So, what that shows us is entrenchment of the material industrial order. Uranus and Sag conjunct the galactic center, seated at global trade and philosophical expansion. And fixed stars, such as Fomalhaut, at 2 degrees Pisces conjunct Jupiter, the royal star of the south, excuse me, signaling the expansion of empire into the southern hemisphere. And this marked the high noon of European colonial industrial domination. Alright. World War I. The death of the old order. Specifically July 28th, 1914, Austria-Hungary declares war. Approximately 11 a.m. in Vienna. So Sun is at 4 degrees Leo. Moon is at 12 degrees Libra. Saturn at 26 degrees Gemini. Pluto at 0 degrees Cancer, and it just entered Cancer in 1913-14. Uranus at 8 degrees Aquarius, opposing Mars at 13 degrees Leo. Neptune at 27 degrees Cancer. Jupiter at 19 degrees Aquarius. Rahu at 4 degrees Pisces. Ketu at 4 degrees Virgo. So, right off the bat, what we see is a crucial aspect. Saturn and Gemini square the nodes. Communication breakdown. Pluto at the Energetic is 0 degrees Cancer, exactly opposite Uranus and Aquarius. So the eruption of the collective unconscious, which is Cancer-Pluto, against the rigid alliances, Uranus-Aquarius, Saturn-Pluto cycle of 1914, last conjunction in the 1880s, was releasing its square. So we look at that star activation, Algol at 24 degrees Taurus, transited by Mars by opposition that autumn, correlating with the beheadings of monarchies and the petrifying horror of trench warfare. Some of that has Taurus conjunct Algol, Taurus ascendant, Taurus rising conjunct the star. It's been a weird life. It's been a very hectic life, to be honest with you. Alright, so the atomic age and the Algol-Pluto conjunction. We see August 6th, 1945, the Hiroshima bomb. Sun's at 13 degrees Leo, moon's at 5 degrees Leo. Mercury's at 8 degrees Virgo. Venus is at 16 degrees Gemini, Mars is at 27 degrees Taurus, Jupiter at 24 degrees Virgo, Saturn at 17 degrees Cancer, Uranus at 15 degrees Gemini, as well as Neptune at 3 degrees Libra, Pluto at 9 degrees Leo, and Rahu at 7 degrees Cancer, while Ketu's at 7 degrees Capricorn. So we notice Mars at 27 degrees Taurus, within 1 degrees of Algol. Alright? Exactly conjunct the moon's Rahu in Cancer. So the demon's head star, ignited by the god of war with the nodal axis pulling the event into collective karma. Pluto in Leo is a sign of the divine creative fire, manifested as a fire that forced a global rebirth through trauma. Good morning, Daryl Jones. I'm live on Meet Me. Not a lot of people are talking because what a lot of guys do in my streams is pretty disgusting. They come in here and jerk off. They don't talk to people. They just need something to jerk off to and waste all their cum and spill their seed, while women can't even get an abortion, but they're allowed to do so. Anyways, let's look at quantum observation. The witnessing of nuclear destruction became a permanent superposition collapse for human consciousness, embedding a new archetype of extinction, Ketu in Capricorn, the death of the father, authority structures. Okay. Now I want to go over the 1960s Uranus-Pluto conjunction and the collective rebirth. So conjunction was exact in October 1965 through June 1966. Multiple passes and peaks around the 20th of October of 1965, 17 degrees Virgo. So we see Uranus at 17 degrees Virgo, Pluto at 17 degrees Virgo, Saturn's at 10 degrees Pisces opposing, as well as Neptune at 19 degrees Scorpio sextiling, Jupiter at 2 degrees Cancer, and Rahu at 7 degrees Gemini, therefore Ketu's at 7 degrees Sag. Okay, so this is an event cluster right here. It brought upon the civil rights movement, the Vietnam War escalation and counterculture, second wave feminism, environmental movement, Chinese Cultural Revolution, decolonization, and sexual revolution. Okay. I am going to make a whole ass video on HIV, AIDS, and Pluto and Scorpio, but that's its own thing. I have a lot of ideas for this channel. Fixed star, the nebula. Alright, it's the tail of the lion at 20 degrees Virgo. And it's the point of unexpected upending and the criticism of regal pretensions. It's transited by Uranus and Pluto. And the conjunction in Virgo, which is the sign of the body, healing and work, revolutionized gender roles, ecology, and daily life. When I say revolutionize gender roles, I just mean most people with heavy Mercury placements, like Virgo and Gemini, we will see this confusion about gender. This confusion about, am I male or female, even though the individual has a penis and testicles, so they're a man, or they have a vagina and breasts, and therefore they're a woman, and they have the female organs. People are losing their minds on their own biology. And I think that's what COVID-19 helped us see. As COVID put everyone in isolation, let the young men just jerk off all day to watch trans porn, or even older men jerking off to it, and then it became a cult ideology overnight. Alright. So, Just a few more events, and then we're going to get into Appendix B. First, we want to talk about Uranus-Neptune conjunct in Capricorn. So this exactly happened February 2nd of 1993 with a midpoint of 3 passes, okay? So Uranus was at 19 degrees Capricorn, as well as Neptune. Saturn was at 22 degrees Aquarius and sextiling. Pluto's at 26 degrees Scorpio. Jupiter at 14 degrees Libra. Rahu at 18 degrees Sag, therefore Ketu is at 18 degrees Gemini. And Mars at 27 degrees Cancer, opposing Uranus-Neptune. So, the public release of the World Wide Web, the dissolution of the Soviet Union, the Maastricht Treaty creating the EU, the dawn of the global information age. So how do we interpret this? Uranus and Neptune in Capricorn, the sign of structures, simultaneously dissolved the old ideological walls, Neptune, and rewired the global infrastructure with digital electricity, Uranus. The nodal axes in Gemini Sag activated the internet's information web. Conjunction laid the foundation for later surveillance state and cryptocurrencies. Also, with Neptune in Aries, I think that's also why we're seeing this body modification, I want to be in a different body and mess with my gender and just crazy nonsense. But the great conjunction of 2020, Pluto return of the USA, occurred December 21st, 2020. Jupiter-Saturn conjunct at 0 degrees Aquarius. So Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus at 6 degrees Taurus, Neptune at 18 degrees Pisces, Pluto at 23 degrees Capricorn, USA's natal Pluto, again, is 27 degrees Capricorn. Rahu at 20 degrees Gemini, Ketu 20 degrees Sag, Mars at 23 degrees Aries squaring Pluto. So we saw global COVID-19 pandemic, lockdowns, the acceleration of remote digital life, as well as Black Lives Matter protests, George Floyd, the visible strain on democratic institutions, USA Pluto return exact in 2022 through 2024. And Regulus, 0 degrees Virgo, ingressed in 2011, received the square from the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, leadership crises and demand for service-oriented power. Alcyone, central plate, at 0 degrees Gemini, conjoined Rahu, resonating with the loss and weeping motif, the Seven Sisters grief. And we interpret 0 degrees Aquarius conjunction inaugurated a new 200-year era of air element Greek conjunctions, shifting from Earth material consolidation to information network paradigms. Pandemic acted as a planetary kit to retreat, enforcing collective isolation and internal reckoning. Now we're going to go over our fixed star conjunction tables for planets. The following table provides the archetypal key phases for a planet's conjunction with major fixed stars, based on astro-anthropological synthesis of historical correlations and star mythology. Conjunctions are considered within a 1 degrees orb of zodiacal longitude, ecliptic projection, whether it's natal, transit, and mundane charts. They all utilize these meanings. The epochal example column highlights a historical conjunction. And a quick note on the longitudes. Positions given for the epoch 2000.0 precessional adjustment is necessary for earlier ages. Fixed star natures are derived from Ptolemy, Alvitus, and contemporary research. So as we see, we have our fixed star, we have our mythological core, planet conjunct, archetypal signature, and epochal example. So, for example, Algol. It's the Gorgon Medusa, okay? Decapitation, intense feminine rage, transformational confrontation with horror, protection after facing shadow. Conjunct the Sun, the leader who carries a hidden wound, power through surviving persecution, charisma with a dark edge. Sun Algol in the chart of the USA's declaration, it's not exact, but there was that Mars transit in 1945. The moon. It's collective emotional hysteria, the public body and trauma, deep ancestral feminine wounds surfacing. So there was a lunar eclipse on Algol in November of 2003, Iraq War, abuses. Mercury. Speech that cuts through illusion, radical truth teller, potential for slander. The prophet of the shadow, Mars Algol, not Mercury. There was World War I trench warfare. Venus is relationship patterns involving power and abuse, artistic expression of grotesque beauty, and passionate creativity. Mars, explosive violence, warrior rage, the will to annihilate also, the surgeon's healing cut. Hiroshima's Mars at 27 degrees. Taurus is exactly conjunct Algol as of August 6, 1945. All right, let's go further on to Jupiter. It's ideological fanaticism, expansion through shock doctrines, philosophical defense of the indefensible, also broadening the vision of justice through outrage. Saturn is cold, calculated cruelty, institutionalized oppression, the necessity of confronting karmic debt, building from the ruins, and Saturn on Algol during the Roman decimations. Uranus, sudden shocking revolution, the abrupt decapitation of power structures, technological breakthroughs in medicine. I go as far as to say this hormone replacement stuff. Uranus and Taurus passed near Algol with Uranus and Gemini is why I said that. We saw the hashtag #MeToo movement and institutional unveilings. Now this is a really big table because I'm going over like just selected events in history, but it's actually pretty important. If you want a full rundown of astrology, that's what this channel's for. Oh, wow. Okay, so moving right on to Neptune. Mass deception leading to collective horror, right? Spiritualized martyrdom, the glamour of violence. Also, compassion born from facing the worst. Pluto, the death of an era through cataclysm, nuclear shadow, compulsion to purge the shadow through destruction and rebirth. Pluto transits over Algol, the 1940s, Holocaust and atomic bomb. Rahu, collective obsession with shock, horror, and the monstrous, the drive to confront Medusa's gaze directly. Ketu, karmic residue of past atrocities, the collective must release the trauma through ritual mourning. Dragulus, 29 degrees 50 Leo to 0 degrees Virgo, ingress of 2011, the heart of the lion, is royalty, courage, success, if integrity maintained, downfall if revenge or hubris takes over. Sun, royal bearing, natural authority, the hero's journey, danger of arrogance. USA Sun Sirius, but Regulus on the Sun, often in leaders, like Napoleon. Moon and Regulus, we see a public mother figure, emotional sovereignty, and the need for loyal subjects. Regulus and Mercury, see the king's messenger, oratory power, political strategy, media manipulation. Okay? We also see Venus and Regulus is glamorous royalty, aesthetics of power, high art patronage, but also love affairs that topple thrones. Mars and Regulus, military commander, courage in battle, but risk of overreach and slaughter. Mars and Regulus conjunction, 2003, during the Iraq invasion. Jupiter, benevolent monarch, expansive legal power, spiritual authority, promise of greatness if humble. Saturn, the fall of the tyrant, the heavy responsibility of leadership. Also, isolation at the top. Richard Nixon, Saturn, John Regulus. Uranus, Sudden overthrow of kings, revolution, technological innovation that disrupts hierarchies, the internet. Uranus on Regulus around 2015, we saw a surge of populism and Trump's rise. Neptune, the dream of the perfect ruler, disillusionment with leaders, idolatry and its dissolution. Pluto, death and rebirth of sovereignty, the shadow of absolute power corrupting absolutely. Pluto on Regulus in 2010s, we saw the ISIS caliphate, authoritarian resurgence. Rahu is insatiable hunger for power and fame, the anti-hero king, unconventional ascent. And Ketu, renunciation of the throne, abdication, spiritual kingship, and release of dynastic karma. Alright, moving on to Spica. 23 degrees, 50 Libra. Of course, it's the year of wheat, abundance, harvest, the gift of civilization, the sacred prostitute, artist, reward for integrity, sun, golden child, brilliance, artistic genius, recognition, embodiment of the harvest. Okay. Also, I'm going to go further down just so you guys can see. We're going to talk about Fomalhaut and all the planets, as well as Aldebaran, as well as Antares. Sirius and Spica. Right. So, for Sirius, for Spica, in the moon, you see it's nurturing abundance, the mother of civilizations, emotional connection to agriculture. Okay? Mercury is a scribe, the translator of cosmic laws, fertile mind, eloquence. Venus in Spica, exalted artist, harmonious beauty, the muse, divine marriage of form and grace, Botticelli's Venus on Spica. Mars in Spica, the warrior for the harvest, protector of farmers, righteous fight for sustenance. Jupiter in Spica, spiritual abundance, the guru of prosperity, the philosopher of the golden age, generosity. Saturn in Spica, responsible stewardship of resources, limitation leading to lasting harvests, sometimes poverty as a teacher. Spica in Uranus, sudden agricultural innovation, genetic modification, green revolution, disruption of food chains. Neptune, the illusion of endless bounty, spiritual food, dreams of a cornucopia, also food as addiction. Pluto, death and rebirth of food systems, the compulsion to control seed, ecological transformation, Pluto at Spica during the Dust Bowl and later Green Revolution. Rahu, its obsession with wealth and luxury, the endless appetite for more, economic expansion at a cost. Ketu, renunciation of material wealth, voluntary simplicity, the wisdom of the sacred meal. Okay. I'm going to make more coffee. All right. We are back in business. I usually end up forgetting that I have to make more coffee halfway through my videos. That's terrible. I'm sorry, guys. So Sirius, what do we know? Well, we can see it's 14 degrees 05 Cancer. This fixed star, it's a scorching one. The dog star is also initiation, custodianship of sacred knowledge, technological leaps, the bridge to Sirius star nation. Sun, it's divine appointment, the sun behind the sun. Excuse me. Leadership that burns bright but can burn out. The USA Sun conjunct Sirius, July 4th. All right. So now we'll go here. See, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Rahu, Ketu. And then we'll do it all over again for Antares and Aldebaran and Fomalhaut. But this is specifically for Sirius. So, Moon in Sirius is the priestess of Isis, deep emotional attunement to cosmic cycles, lunar magic. Mercury, hermetic wisdom, the messenger of the gods, technological breakthrough, channeling. Venus, love of the sacred, harmonious spiritual partnerships, artistic expression of the divine. All right. Mars, the flame of war in service of a higher cause, the Knight Templar, also scorched earth. Jupiter, the expansion of esoteric knowledge, grand initiations, philosophical systems of the East and West. Saturn, karmic discipline, the lonely guardian of the flame, the weight of custodianship. Uranus, scientific revelation, electricity as sacred fire, the internet as initiatory path, sudden download. Neptune, the mystic vision, oneness with the cosmic ocean, dissolution into the goddess, spiritual glamour. Pluto, death and rebirth through intense initiation, transformation of the entire Kundalini, shamanic death. Rahu is insatiable quest for hidden knowledge. Okay, the techno shaman, obsession with contact, ETs, and channeling. Ketu, ancient wisdom remembered, innate starseed knowledge, and the release from celestial bondage. Give me one moment, guys. I am going to write this down. All right. As I was saying, we're going to talk about Antares now. 9 degrees 46 Sag, the arrival of Mars, the heart of the Scorpion, the warrior's intensity, death and regeneration, shamanic dismemberment. The Sun, the shaman king, obsessive purpose, potency, and it can burn out. So, the moon in Antares is deep emotional intensity, the priestess of the underworld, powerful and conscious. Mercury in Antares is the penetrating mind, the detective, psychological depth, truth that stings. Venus in Antares is passionate love, the femme fatale, homme fatale, beauty that destroys, and sacred sexuality. Mars in Antares, the berserker, unstoppable warrior, martial genius, danger of violence and cruelty. Mars Antares often in military campaigns. Jupiter Antares, the dark prophet, expansion through underworld journeys, prosperity through recycling, death metal economics. Saturn, the grim reaper, austere endurance, karma of violence, discipline unto death. Okay? Uranus, sudden eruption of repressed rage, revolutionary fury, innovative weaponry. Okay? So we see these fixed stars. This is why I talk about fixed stars as much as I do on the channel anyways, is because there's so much fucking correlation with the fixed stars and our planets in our solar system that it's almost necessary, in my opinion, to learn the fixed stars. It just makes more sense to me. Some people are not ready to learn astrology for what it really is, which is a full-blown science and a math. It's a lot of work to even begin to understand it. Some people are not ready. But when you guys are ready, this will be the channel, hopefully. Alright. So, oops. I meant to do this one. Just writing down some new ideas because I'll forget them if I don't. So, Neptune and Antares, Neptune and Antares, the mystical death, addiction to the edge, spiritual bypass through intensity, and ecstatic trance. Pluto and Antares, total transformation through catabasis, the phoenix, the global shadow eruption. Okay. Rahu in Antares is insatiable hunger for power and underworld experiences, the occultist tyrant. And Ketu in Antares is release of the warrior's karma, the peaceful warrior, the mendicant who has faced death. Alright, now I'm going to talk about Aldebaran, which is 9 degrees 47 Gemini, star, the eye of the bull, the watcher of the east, integrity, wealth through honest means, the guardian of the spring equinox, sun, the stalwart leader, blind integrity, sometimes stubborn blindness. Moon in Aldebaran is the earthy mother, emotional stability and the provider. Mercury in Aldebaran is the honest broker, the practical communicator, and nature wisdom. Okay? Venus, stable lover, natural beauty, abundance through partnership. Mars, the defensive warrior, protection of the homeland if corrupted, the bullfight. Jupiter, the philosopher of the soil, agrarian wisdom, expansion through honest trade. Saturn, the hard worker, the elder of the land, karmic reward for consistency. Uranus, sudden shakeup of established value, cryptocurrency, land reform, the earthquaking. Uranus transited Aldebaran 2023 through 2025. Earth changes, food supply chain disruptions. Neptune, dream of the simple life, pastoral illusion, connection to nature spirits. And Pluto, death of the old value system, destruction of the bullion standard, regeneration of Earth. Let's talk about Fomalhaut. Remembering these are all selected highlights. A full fixed star catalog for Astro-Anthropology would include all Ptolemaic and key Vedic lunar mansion stars. So it would be even huger than what I'm showing you guys. It would be its own video. So, the mouth of the fish is Fomalhaut, the royal star of the south, magic, mysticism, the portal to other dimensions, alchemy. Sun, the visionary artist, the wizard, channeling pure light, immune to mundane corruption. Alright. Moon, the dreamer, mediumship, emotional attunement to other worlds. Mercury, the alchemical writer, the poet of the ineffable, coded knowledge. Alright. Alright. Venus, beauty from other realms, the muse in pure form, love that transcends. Mars, the magical warrior, fighting through prayer, ritual, spiritual battle. Jupiter, the expansive mystic, the guru from the stars, the sagely philosopher of the fish. Saturn, the anchoring of the mystical, disciplined magic, the hermit of the southern gate. Uranus, sudden influx of otherworldly technology, quantum leap consciousness, and sci-tech. Neptune, pure mystic union, the ocean of bliss, the dissolution of all veils. Pluto, death and rebirth of the soul through other dimensions. Near-death transformation. So, now I want to look at Appendix C, which is asteroid discovery charts and their mythic correlations. So, each asteroid's discovery moment is a synchronistic birth chart. The planetary positions at the time of first observation, often midnight of the discovery date as a proxy or actual time if known, encode the archetype entering collective consciousness. The following are the asteroid Big Four, plus Chiron and Aries. So, Ceres, or Demeter, was discovered January 1st in 1801 with a midnight chart. Sun at 10 degrees Capricorn, Moon at 3 degrees Cancer, Mercury at 24 degrees Sag, Venus at 6 degrees Aquarius, Mars at 20 degrees Virgo, Jupiter at 20 degrees Leo, Saturn at 12 degrees Leo. With Uranus at 19 degrees Virgo, conjunct Mars, Neptune at 15 degrees Scorpio, Pluto at 29 degrees Aquarius, of course Andretic, Rahu at 29 degrees Pisces, Ketu at 29 degrees Virgo. Ceres itself at 0 degrees Taurus, exaltation degree of the moon, in the discovery moment. So, Ceres Demeter governs the mother-daughter bond, agriculture, grief, and the cycle of seasons. The chart Sun in Capricorn, the structural management of resources, opposing Moon in Cancer, motherhood, with Mars, Uranus, and Virgo, agricultural revolution exactly mirrors the concurrent agricultural and industrial revolutions. Nodal axis on the Aries-Libra axis reflects the tension between individual land ownership and societal obligation. Ceres placement at 0 degrees Taurus, the sign of Earth's bounty, made food security a collective archetypal focus. The subsequent development of agribusiness, the commodification of grain, and the displacement of peasant societies all stem from the activation of the Ceres archetype in a Capricornian industrializing context. So, that's what we see. And then I'm going to talk about Zero Series in Appendix D. Okay. So, Pallas Athene, or Pallas, was discovered March 28th, 1802. Midnight chart, Sun 7 degrees Aries, Moon at 2 degrees Aquarius, Mercury at 23 degrees Pisces, Venus at 20 degrees Aquarius, Mars at 15 degrees Aries conjunct the Sun, Jupiter at 0 degrees Virgo, Saturn at 19 degrees Leo, Uranus at 22 degrees Virgo, Neptune at 17 degrees Scorpio, Pluto at 2 degrees Pisces newly entered, and Rahu at 23 degrees Pisces, Ketu at 23 degrees Virgo. So, Pallas Athena sprang fully armed from the head of Zeus. She represents creative intelligence, strategy, pattern recognition, and the wisdom of the body politic. Chart Sun-Mars conjunction in Aries, sextile Saturn in Leo, and opposite Uranus in Virgo, so fire of intelligent, strategic initiation. While the Moon in Aquarius and Venus in Aquarius highlight the collective democratic intellect. This discovery coincides with the early stirrings of women's education reform, the philosophical groundwork for universal suffrage. Mary Wollstonecraft's legacy. The archetype of the female strategist, the armed virgin who championed civilization, not domination, entered the modern psyche. Alright. Juno, discovered September 1st, 1804, midnight, sun at 8 degrees Virgo, moon at 29 degrees Cancer, Mercury at 21 degrees Virgo, Venus at 7 degrees Leo, Mars at 12 degrees Cancer, Jupiter at 17 degrees Virgo, Saturn at 6 degrees Libra, Uranus at 26 degrees Virgo, Neptune at 20 degrees Scorpio, Pluto at 7 degrees Pisces, Rahu at 4 degrees Aquarius, Ketu at 4 degrees Leo. So Juno, the queen of marriage, partnership, jealousy, and social contracts. The Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, Uranus, stellium, and Virgo, as we can see here, all these planets in Virgo. Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, Uranus. It's a sign of service, critique, and contracts. And it's trining Saturn and Libra, the law, marriage. While the moon in Cancer, the mother, at the anaretic degree, opposes Venus in Leo, highlighting the tension between personal love and social role. This discovery occurs as the Napoleonic Code in 1804 redefines marriage civilly, reinforcing patriarchal contracts yet planting the seed of Juno's eventual reclamation of equal partnership. The archetype of the wife as a social institution with all its power and shadow becomes conscious. Okay. Vesta, discovered March 29th in 1807. Again, midnight. Sun at 7 degrees Aries, moon at 27 degrees Scorpio, Mercury at 10 degrees Aries, Venus at 29 degrees Pisces, Mars at 19 degrees Aquarius, Jupiter at 0 degrees Libra, Saturn at 26 degrees Libra, Uranus at 28 degrees Virgo, Neptune 24 degrees Scorpio, Pluto at 10 degrees Pisces, Rahu at 16 degrees Sag, Ketu at 16 degrees Gemini. So, Vesta is a sacred flame, the focus, devotion, sublimation of sexuality in spiritual or creative work. The moon in Scorpio, deep emotional intensity, trine Pluto in Pisces, and the sun in Aries square the nodes, indicates the passionate channeling into a higher focus. Jupiter at 0 degrees Libra on the world axis points to the devotion to relational harmony and justice. The discovery occurs as a romantic era. It's Neptune and Scorpio idolize the nun-like devotion of the artist or the scientist. Vesta's essence manifests in the modern workaholic and the cult of scientific objectivity, where libido is redirected into the microscope or the laboratory. Alright, let's talk about Chiron. Discovered November 1st, 1977, approximately 10 in the morning, actually, universal time. So sun's at 8 degrees Scorpio, moon's at 6 degrees Cancer, Mercury's at 22 degrees Libra, Venus at 26 degrees Virgo, Mars at 0 degrees Leo, Jupiter at 5 degrees Cancer, Saturn at 29 degrees Leo, Uranus at 13 degrees Scorpio, Neptune at 14 degrees Sag, Pluto at 15 degrees Libra, and Rahu at 13 degrees Virgo, with Ketu 13 degrees Pisces. Chiron, the centaur, the wounded healer, mentor of heroes. The Sun-Uranus conjunction in Scorpio, sudden unveiling of the wound, opposite Chiron itself in Taurus, the body healing axis. The nodal axis in Virgo Pisces emphasizes the holistic health paradigm. 1977 saw the birth of the hospice movement, holistic health boom, and the first public surfacing of childhood trauma as a societal issue. The wound that becomes medicine paradigm entered psychology. Jungian analysis, post-Vietnam PTSD. Chiron bridges Saturn at 29 degrees Leo, the old guard, and Uranus, the new age. Its discovery birthed the modern mentoring, life coaching, and integrative medicine movements. Aries was discovered January 5th, 2005. Actual discovery date, ephemeris for 12 UT. Sun at 14 degrees Capricorn. Moon at 22 degrees Scorpio. Mercury at 25 degrees Sag. Venus at 22 degrees Capricorn. Mars at 24 degrees Sag. Jupiter at 19 degrees Libra. Saturn at 25 degrees Cancer. Uranus at 4 degrees Pisces. Neptune at 13 degrees Aquarius. Pluto at 23 degrees Sag. And Rahu at 27 degrees Aries with Ketu at 27 degrees Libra. So, Aries, the goddess of strife and discord, threw the golden apple inscribed to the fairest, triggering the Trojan War. Her discovery in 2005 was Sun, Venus, and Capricorn, which is structural beauty, institutional values, and a conjunction of Mars, Mercury, and Sag, inflammatory speech, under a Sun-Pluto trine heralded the era of culture wars, internet trolling, and the hashtag #MeToo movement. Aries scored the 2018 nodes. Aries chart's nodal axis, the Aries-Libra cusp, axis of war and peace, exactly reflects the discord in relationships that exploded online. The dwarf planet's long orbit, which is 558 years, suggests an epochal surfacing of the shadow feminine, demanding justice through disruption, almost like alcohol. Alright, Zero Series interpretations for collective eclipses. Just have a few more pages left to go over. About 3. Alright, so eclipses belong to Saros families, each born from an initial eclipse at one of the poles and carrying a specific mythological storyline. The entire series unfolds over 1200 through 1500 years, with each subsequent eclipse every 18 years, 11 days, reactivating the archetypal pattern in a new historical context. For Astro-Anthropology, we interpret the birth chart of the Saros series as a celestial mythic template. The following are major Saros series currently active and their interpretations. South Node series, or Saros series 136. So what we see here, first eclipse occurred June 14th, 1360, in the North Polar region. And this is the birth chart of the series tropical for epoch. We see it had a sun-moon conjunction with the new moon eclipse at 18 degrees Gemini, as well as Ketu at 18 degrees Gemini, with Rahu at 18 degrees Sag. And our key aspects are Uranus at 19 degrees Aquarius, trine the eclipse, as well as Saturn at 12 degrees Virgo, square the nodes, as well as Pluto at 21 degrees Taurus, semi-sextile the eclipse, and Neptune at 23 degrees Aries. So our fixed star, eclipse point conjunct Alkaid, beneath Nash, it's 25 degrees Gemini, the star of mourning, and the funerary procession. So we can interpret that this is a Ketu-dominated South Node series, karmic release, the unraveling of deep-seated material attachments, the collapse of mental paradigms, Gemini. The 18-year returns bring sudden breakdowns in communication networks, financial systems that prove hollow, collective confrontations with the shadow of technology, Uranus influence. The Alkaid connection adds a persistent theme of grief and the need to complete unfinished mourning. Historical manifestations. We see eclipse of 29th of May, 1919 at total solar. It's confirmed general relativity, shattering Newtonian paradigm, occurred at Versailles Peace Conference, failing to bring lasting peace. Eclipse of the June 20th, 1955, height of Cold War, nuclear anxiety. I also meant to say the eclipse of June 8th, 1937, led up to WW2 and mass communication propaganda. The eclipse of June 20th, 1955 is the height of Cold War nuclear anxiety, mass civil defense drills, while the eclipse of June 30th in 1973 is the end of the Vietnam War, Watergate unraveling. Eclipse of July 11th, 1991 is a total solar over Hawaii, the harmonic convergence era, breakup of the Soviet Union, kit to dismantling, as well as Hubble Space Telescope flaw, vision obscured. Eclipse of July 22nd, 2009, the longest total solar eclipse of the 21st century, financial crises fallout, and a great reckoning. Next, we will see August 2nd, 2027, total solar over Egypt, prophesied by some as an initiation of a new order in the Middle East. The periodic great reset of narratives and mental architectures. Okay, we're going to go over just a little bit more. So, this is for Serial Series 145, also known as the North Node Series. First eclipse, January 4th, 1639, South Polar region. Sun-Moon conjunction at 14 degrees Capricorn, Rahu at 14 degrees Capricorn, Ketu at 14 degrees Cancer. Uranus at 16 degrees Libra, squaring the nodes. Neptune at 12 degrees Scorpio, sextile. Pluto at 26 degrees Taurus, trine. Saturn at 13 degrees Pisces, sextile the node. Opposing Venus at 11 degrees Virgo. We see the fixed star Vega at 13 degrees Capricorn, conjunct the eclipse. It's the star of the shamanic flight, the vulture cycle pomp. Alright, series interpretation. A Rahu-dominated series of insatiable ambition, structural overreach, and the hunger to build new world orders. The Capricornian signature drives the collective to create monumental systems, political, financial, architectural, that promise stability but risk tyranny, Pluto trine. The Vega connection adds a transcendent, almost otherworldly ideal, a new sky religion, or techno-utopian vision. And we look at our historical manifestations. So, February 3rd, 1916, there was that annular eclipse. WW1 grinding stalemate, the Battle of Verdun, immense structure of death. 14th of February, 1934, there was that eclipse. Depression era totalitarian consolidation, Hitler's rise, Stalin's purchase. Alright, so, also, February 25th, 1952, accession of Queen Elizabeth II, height of the Cold War structure. Eclipse of March 7th, 1970, Apollo 13 occurred. Almost disaster. Structural failure in space. The building of the military-industrial complex. Eclipse of March 18th, 1988, Perestroika, glasnost, the structure begins to crack. So, Alright, so let's talk about the eclipse of March 29th in 2006. Total solar over Africa, Asia, boom of global finance before the crash. Eclipse of April 8th, 2024, total solar over North America, Great American Eclipse. Rahu's shadow on the USA structural integrity, Pluto return. This eclipse resurrected the Vega transmission of a new mythic storyline for the West. Next, we will see it, another eclipse with Vega, April 20th, 2042. Our motif is the construction and eventual deconstruction of totalizing systems, the utopian skyscraper that reaches too high. Alright, our third Sarah series, 127, is the North Node series. North Polar, October 10th, 991. Eclipse at 17 degrees Libra, with Rahu at 17 degrees Libra, Ketu at 17 degrees Aries. Uranus at 21 degrees Pisces, quincunx the node. Pluto at 27 degrees Virgo. Saturn at 13 degrees Gemini, trine the node. Mars at 0 degrees Leo, square the node. The fixed star Spica at 23 degrees Libra, closely aligned, bestowing the gift of civilization and harvest themes. So we can interpret a Libra North Node series emphasizing justice, treaties, marriage, and legal frameworks. Mars square injects Aladdin aggression into the pursuit of peace, often resulting in wars to end all wars or diplomatic revolutions. So, October 1st, 1921, there's a total solar eclipse in Antarctica. Post-WW1 diplomacy, League of Nations. There was eclipse, October 12th, 1939. Outbreak of WW2, the betrayal of treaties. Eclipse of October 23rd, 1957, Sputnik launch, Spica gift technology. Also Suez crisis, New World Order contention. November 3rd, 1975, Helsinki Accords on Human Rights and the beginning of the end of Detente. November 13th, 1993, that eclipse. Maastricht Treaty, the birth of the EU as a legal entity. Eclipse of November 25th, 2011, partial solar. Arab Spring, legal upheavals, Occupy movement, demanding economic justice. Next, we will see December 5th, 2029, something going down here. Their motif, the covenant, and it's breaking the scales that demand balancing. Alright, now we'll complete here with Zero Series 138, South Node Series, first eclipse, June 6, 1475, South Polar. Eclipse at 16 degrees Gemini, Ketu. Ketu, of course, as I just said, 16 degrees Gemini, which means Rahu's at 16 degrees Sag. Saturn's at 28 degrees Cancer, semi-sextile. Pluto's at 26 degrees Virgo, squaring the node. Uranus is at 19 degrees Aquarius, trine the node. Neptune at 4 degrees Sag, conjunct Rahu. Fixed star Rigel at 15 degrees Gemini, the star of teaching and the foot of the hunter, conveying immense instructional power, but also the fall from height. We interpret that this series teaches through harsh lessons. Communication, Gemini, fails catastrophically when shadowed by Ketu, forcing a re-examination of all information. The Sagittarius Rahu pulls toward ideological dogmatism, causing the collective to swallow entire belief systems that later crumble, such as being a trans person. Just doesn't even exist. It's not you're male or you're female. Simple. Simple, simple, simple. Ideological dogmatism to the fucking max. Okay, so we look at these historical manifestations. Eclipse of July 8th, 1842, the Opium Wars, poisoning of a nation via trade. Eclipse of July 18th, 1860, Darwin's Origin of Species, publication uproar, paradigm clash. Eclipse of July 29th, 1878, eclipse during the height of American Reconstruction. Eclipse of August 9th, 1896, Klondike Gold Rush, mass delusion of wealth. August 21st, 1914, that eclipse. WW1, the first solar eclipse after the start of war, Guns of August. Alright, so August 31st, 1932, there was an eclipse, the Depression, the rise of the Nazis, communication as propaganda. Eclipse of September 12th, 1950, Korean War, McCarthyism. Eclipse of September 22nd, 1968, there were global protests. The Tet Offensive, the assassination year, communication breakdown. Eclipse of October 3rd, 1986, Chernobyl's initial cover-up, dissolution of truth. Eclipse of October 14th, 2004, Iraq War, WND, myths exposed. Eclipse of October 25th, 2022, partial solar, deepfake era, post-truth intensification. Next we will see November 5th, 2040. The motif, the fall of the Tower of Babel, languages. The truth that shatters illusions. Thank you guys for watching this video, and in my next one, we are going to look at, let's see, more astrological anthropology, but in an essay format. I actually dive deeper into stuff, so I hope to see you there with peace and love. Thank you for watching. I see you now.